Hello again, my friends. I'm so sorry that I missed you last week. I'd like to blame it on the holiday, but honestly, it was just a lot of logistical things that were out of the ordinary and sickness that went through our house and all sorts of mayhem. So I am so glad to be back with you guys, and I hope you had a great holiday. I am just over the moon right now. I was already thinking on Thanksgiving just how grateful I am for this podcast. I have had a lot of things change in my personal life over the last year. And although there's always something to stress about as a wife and a mom, and just in the world that we live in, there's always logistical balls that I'm juggling, right? And roles that you need to fulfill that cause stress and anxiety. I still feel more fulfilled than I have in a really long time. And I know that a big part of that is because of this podcast. I am just so incredibly grateful for this platform that I have to connect with you guys and to share the thoughts and feelings of my heart, share the things that have worked for me and my family. And it's just crazy. So it kind of got seconded yesterday because Spotify Wrapped dropped. Now, most of you probably know what this is, especially if you're a Spotify user. It's where they send you a little notification of the different songs and artists and podcasts that you listen to the most throughout the year. But as a creator, they give you more specific information to your content. So like where your listeners are from, what other things they might be listening to, your favorite or the most popular episode, that kind of thing. But I wanted to share with you a few numbers from our Spotify Wrapped. So for our podcast, 8 fans, we are the top podcast for 8 people. We are in the top 5 for 20 people. And we're in the top 20 or 10 for 25 people. And I know that those aren't earth-shattering numbers. I know that that's still seemingly small, but to me, it's everything. I, as a stay-at-home mom who started a business 5 years ago, and I'm going to get emotional, I apologize. I realized how much I was missing, how much more I was capable of, how much my dreams mattered, and that it was possible to make progress on them within the walls of my own home. And I realized 5 years later that I didn't want people to necessarily join me in that specific business. I just wanted people to feel the feelings that I felt. I wanted people to feel like they mattered. I wanted people to feel like they could prioritize themselves and still be a parent. Because that's a really hard balance. I wanted people to feel like they could dream a little bigger and that it was possible. And so the fact that there's that many of you, that care enough about what I have to say that much, that we're one of your top podcasts. I'm just so humbled. I'm so honored. Oh my goodness. I just love you guys so much. You deserve all the things. And this is supposed to be a really happy, lighthearted podcast, and here I am in tears. Classic Miranda. Okay, so with that being said, let's transition here. I'm going to try to pull myself together. Because we are this far into the podcast, we started it back in March, and it's now almost December, which is crazy to me. I know that you guys get to know me a lot through this podcast. You get to know me through I have a lot of personal ramblings. I try to back them up, my thoughts and ideas. I try to back them up with resources and quotes from professionals, and I try to do my homework. But a lot of it's my own personal ramblings and experiences, and you get to know me through a lot of the episodes. But I haven't really done anything that's like specific to just me, like just an introduction, if you will, to the host, to yours truly. So I thought I would just take a minute to introduce myself. So whether you followed me since I was back in my jewelry business, or if you've known me for a really long time, or if you've just found this podcast, welcome. So I thought maybe you could kind of get a sense of who I am and we can continue to grow together. Ironically enough, our women in our church do a little newsletter each month, and they showcase 2 people in the newsletter and kind of do like a little get to know you paragraph so that we can kind of learn a little bit more about each other. And I was one of the people this month, so it was already on my mind. It was kind of happy coincidence. So anyways, little about me. I am 33 years old, and I was born in Bellevue, Washington, which is really crazy to me because I'm actually only like 20 minutes away from where I was born, which is super weird, kind of a full circle thing. I grew up in Peoria, Arizona for a small window. My dad was Air Force for a while I was growing up. And then shortly after my 8th birthday, he got out of the Air Force and we moved up here to Western Washington, in Port Orchard, where I was originally, out on the Kitsap Peninsula, if you're from the Pacific Northwest. I am the oldest and only girl in my family. I have 3 younger brothers. And my mom taught piano from our home, and I was a band geek all through high school. Music is my life. I love it so much. I'm one of those music is life, the rest of are just details people. I did it all when it came to band. You know, I did marching band, orchestra, pit orchestra for musicals, jazz ensembles, you name it. I've done some choir, like, yeah, you name it, I've probably done it. My instruments were clarinet and then alto and tenor saxophone. I know a little bit of piano, but I'm not great at it. And I tried my hand at percussion and that just flopped. And I love singing. So really anything like, whether it's performing or listening to music, like going to concerts, that kind of thing, I absolutely love it. That's one of the biggest things about me. I got my associate's degree in general studies from Brigham Young University, Idaho, while I was working full-time as an assistant manager at Cafe Rio, which is this cute little Tex-Mex restaurant chain. And it was to put my hubby through school. So I really don't have a whole lot of education, honestly. There was a time where I deferred and started working and had a few experiences where I really questioned whether or not I wanted to go back to school or not. And through the long-suffering patience and encouragement of my husband, I was able to get my associate's degree but like 2 or 3 months before our oldest was born. And it was, so I really like attribute to it, really just doing it to prove it to myself that I could do it after all the struggles that I had, but also because of the support of Aaron. So let's see. I'm trying to think of what else. I thought about serving a mission for our church for a moment. But I literally met Aaron, my husband, the same week. So I didn't end up serving a mission. I had a summer as a kind of like a youth camp counselor that our church puts on. It's called Especially for Youth. Being with the youth, teaching them and growing my testimony with them was like just as sacred to me as a mission would have been. So that's what I consider to be my mission. Aaron and I have been married for 12 and a half years, and we were married in, so March 19th, 2011. We were married in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, Seattle Temple, and we were lucky enough to be married by my late grandfather, which was very special. We have two beautiful girls. Noelle, who is 6. She's about to be 7 next week, which is nuts. She's in 1st grade. She loves all things art, reading, makeup, music. And then Reese is our youngest. She's 4 years old. She just started pre-K. She was born on St. Patrick's Day, and we consider her to be our leprechaun. She's full of fun and mischief, mostly mischief. But she loves to learn. It loves animals, all things animals and dinosaurs, and like they're so different. Superheroes and all things musical as well. Most of my job experience is in the food industry. I started working at McDonald's in high school and then worked my way up to guest services manager. So in total, I was there a few different locations, but I was with McDonald's for like 8 years. And then I've been an assistant manager at multiple restaurants. Once the girls were born, I had a small at-home jewelry business, which most of you know, and a few of you have probably found me then, back in that time period, because I sold mostly on Facebook Live. And then now I've got the podcast. I also have been spending my time doing... I have become an art docent this year. So I go into my kids' school and I help teach art lessons to the 1st and 3rd graders, which I absolutely love. I love it, love it, love it. I have no visual art experience whatsoever. But I basically I myself am learning the basics, and then I go in and I teach them what I've learned so that we can all learn together. And it is just incredible. I absolutely love doing it. And then I spend a lot of time too in my church calling, which is I help plan activities for the women in our congregation so they can come out once a month and kind of learn something new or bond together. And it just, you can see why between the podcast and those two things, even though like they're volunteer positions, why this year, even with its difficulties, has been so fulfilling, because I feel like I'm just giving back so much to the ladies. So I love you guys so much. My husband, Aaron, has changed career paths over the last couple years. He has a degree, a bachelor's degree in financial economics, but now he's interested in process improvement. So he went from the finance industry and has been struggling and clawing his way trying to get into process improvement, and finished his Six Sigma certification. And I know I don't say it enough, but I am incredibly proud of him. He is the most hardworking and resilient guy I know. And I attribute so much of the things that I've accomplished to his support. Like I've already mentioned the schooling. I mean, he was the one that encouraged me to find something to do for myself when I decided to open my jewelry business. And he was very adamant from the get-go of like, even if I didn't make money, as long as it made me happy, it was important to make time for it. And he's always in the background wrangling kids or setting up jewelry displays at vendor events, that kind of thing. And he's not very similar in regard to this podcast too. And yeah, he's just he's the mastermind. I feel like sometimes he's just whatever I want to do, or any like even family adventures that I'm like, oh, we should go do this. He just helps to make it happen. He just makes it real. And he's just always putting up with so much and picking up the pieces. And I just love you, Aaron. Shout out. What else? My faith is one of the biggest things in my life and you hear me talk about it a lot in this podcast. I'm a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. I was blessed to be baptized at the age of 8, and it was really fun because I was confirmed on the same day that my youngest brother had his baby blessing. So they present the newborn not newborn, but like the newer babies to the congregation, and the elders in the church give them a blessing and they kind of announce the name and stuff. So I was able to do that on the same day, which I still is so special to me. And like, I remember it like it was yesterday. And my family too has been such a forming experience for my character. I've talked about on this podcast as well that, you know, my mom has MS and my youngest brother is autistic. And while that could have been really difficult, and can be really difficult, it has helped me be a more empathetic person and have a better understanding of Christ's atonement. So that is a huge guiding light in my life. Just on a lighter note, that's the serious stuff. In addition to the music stuff, I enjoy reading and writing. I don't do enough of it just because, you know, mom life. But I loved me some English classes when I was growing up. Running and then watching TV and movies. It was so funny because I realized the other day I did one of those like stories on Instagram where it's like 6 movies to get to know me or 6 shows to get to know me. And I realized very quickly when I was putting that together, looking at my favorites, it's like, okay, when it comes to movies, I am a franchise girly. I like, you know, Harry Potter and Star Wars and Hunger Games, like things that I can sink my teeth into for more than one movie, right? I get invested in these characters for a while. And then with my shows, it's like, you know, Office and How I Met Your Mother and Parks and Recreation and Brooklyn Nine-Nine. It's like all these sitcoms. I'm like, I need something short, and like I'm laughing most of it for shows. It's super funny. So, yeah. And then my favorite food, this is going to sound really silly, but I'm going to like throw it out there because it's just that silly. I love anything potato, especially mashed potatoes. And I'm like a crazy salad girly. Take me anywhere with a salad bar. I will be your best friend. And then for treats, I am all about that Twix Life, Reese's, Fast Breaks, and then I consider myself a hot chocolate connoisseur. So 'tis the season, right? If you have any suggestions, throw them my way. That's it for the get to know you. If you have any other questions, whether it's get to know you stuff or about any of the topics too that we discuss in this podcast, I don't plug this very often, but please feel free to comment. And I will make sure to make time to answer those or have an episode dedicated to that. Yeah. So there's that. I think that is it for now. And you can catch us if you're new to the podcast. Every Thursday is when a new episode airs. So I will see you all next week. Hope you have the best day.